Welcome back to the Unfortunate Diehards podcast, hashtag number 87. Thanks for joining the episode. Obviously, we know who I'm talking about. Vegas Golden Knights legend. What was that guy they got for from the KHL for a dozen games anyway? Shipachyov.
Is he 87?
He was 87.
How do you
I was like, is that allowed? I was like, I don't know if that's supposed to happen.
This skill of yours is what really impresses me.
Thanks.
Unless you do research on it before.
No.
Okay.
But welcome back to the podcast, guys. Today we are doing the Central Division preview for the 2025-2026 NHL season. So we'll go through every team, adds, people they lost, and then their prospects as well, go through their lineup, and then we will tell you where we think they're going to end up at the end of the season. So I'll hand it over to Sufjan because he's the mastermind behind all of this.
Guide where teams end up.
So we'll start with the Chicago Blackhawks. And their new additions this year are Andrei Burakovsky and Sam Lafferty. And they don't have a key departure that I have listed, so good for them. They have the third best prospect pool, some pretty big names in Lev Shunov and Sam Renzel, who are projected to be top four defensemen at the very minimum. But they're definitely going to get a lot of playing time this year. And then Oliver Moore, who might break the lineup this year, was a first-round pick, pretty skilled, and Anton Frundell, who is projected to be one of the more elite prospects coming out of last year's draft. So, lineup for Chicago.
So for lineups, we have Donato with Bedard and Teravainen, Bertuzzi with Nazar, that's a crazy contract, and Burakovsky, Foligno with Dickinson and Mikheyev. Shout out Ilya Mikheyev. Reichel with Lafferty and Slaggert. And then pushing for the lineup, we have Moore and Doc. On defense, we have Vlasic and Renzel, Kaiser and Murphy, Korchinski, which was originally an Ottawa Senators pick, technically, and Levshunov. And we have Del Mastro and Crevier. And Le Gardien du Bout, Spencer Knight, Soderblom, and Laurent Brossoit.
All right, and as for last season, the Chicago Blackhawks had a record of 25, 46, and 11, which was 31st in the league. They had 20 regulation wins, which was also 31st. Missed the playoffs, obviously. Goals for per game, they averaged 2.7, which was 26th, and goals against, they averaged 3.56, which was 31st. Their power play percentage was 24.9%, which was 7th, and their PK was 79.3, which was 14th.
It's not actually that bad.
Yeah, that's true. And their average age is 24 years old, so a very young team, actually. Yeah.
All right, we'll start with the forwards here. I'll start this off. The grade I gave them was a C-. It's kind of similar to San Jose, where there's like the mix of veterans and young guys. The center core, the top two guys are really young, so I think Bedard is going to hopefully break out this year, but he doesn't really have the tools around him, so we'll see. C-, I think, is pretty much just because of the potential it has with some of the younger players.
C- for me as well, yeah. So for me, these guys, they're a bit still behind San Jose and even Anaheim now, just because I think a couple of the vets and stuff that Anaheim got, like in Kreider and whatnot, do make a bigger impact on the team along with the young talent they have, whereas Bedard is the only one they have who can't really do anything up front, apart from, you'll get some contributions from Donato and whatnot, but this forward core is pretty behind right now.
Yeah, I feel like C- is quite fair. Nothing really that sexy, but potential to be.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, defense-wise, I have this as the worst D-core in the league, and I have it as D-. I gave it the lowest grade possible. A potential. There's the whole top six is under 24, other than Connor Murphy, who himself is not really that great. I guess he's a top four defenseman, but you have some guys that can develop, but we know that young defensemen don't typically have a great time, and their entire D-core is young, so I don't really have the capacity to give them any higher than D-.
I'll be a bit nicer, I guess. I'll give them a D.
Just a bit nicer.
A bit nicer. Only reason is they have a bunch of young guys who are definitely going to struggle. Yes, so I give them a D just because I'm not giving them a D because their players suck or something. I'm giving them a D because they have to develop. So there could be some skill and ability in there.
There's 3 first-round picks in there.
Yeah, there's 3 first round picks. So I wouldn't like. I'm not trying to diss the players. I'm just trying to say that they need to develop. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like a D's pretty fair. I feel like Vlasic's solid. Murphy's a veteran, poor guy. And then, yeah, a lot of, kind of like Sufi said, typically young defensemen, even if they are high picks, take some adjusting. So I don't see this being the greatest defense score.
Yeah. Goalies, I gave them a C- as well. I like Spencer Knight. He's gone through a lot in the last few years, being in substance abuse program and also injuries as well. But he was a first round pick. He does have like the skill to be a starting goalie. He's going to be hell for him out there with this decor, but Soderblom has been one of the worst goalies in the league for the last 2 years, and I don't think that's necessarily his fault entirely. But and Laurent Brossois' health is a big question here because he is capable of being a very good backup, but he didn't play all of last year, so it's kind of hard to figure that he's going to be bouncing back at age 32 after a full year off.
I'm giving them a C just because I think Knight has the potential to be a legitimate starting goaltender. I think also that was a great deal to get him out of that Jones trade with Florida last year. I thumbs up to Chicago for that. So for his potential, I'm giving them a C.
Yeah, I'll go C. There's options.
Yeah.
So the hope would be one of them is doing okay at any given time. And shout out Shea Weber.
Yeah, Shea Weber just posted on the outside. Okay, now we'll go through our X Factor, potential breakout, and bounce back players. I'll start with my X Factor, which is Andre Burakovsky. He came over in a trade, I believe, from Chicago or from Seattle, and I think he's been a good player in the past, like 50, 55 points, but he's gone through some injuries in the last couple of years. But this team's going to need another option on offense, and he's got some skill to be a good top 6 player. Potential breakout is Sam Renzel. He's already projected to be in the top pair in his first full year. And clearly they see something in him. And Vlasic's a pretty good partner to have if that is how it ends up working out. And bounce back, it was kind of tough to pick because, I don't know, I don't really expect much out of this team anyway. But I just have Connor Murphy because he's a veteran who had a tough year last year.
X factor for me is Bedard, just because last season, obviously, he was, there's lots of talk around him maybe not performing like they wanted him to. I think he's in a unique position because I can't remember first-round picks who were touted as highly as him who just 3 years in just haven't got even a single ounce of support that they need. Mm-hmm. Like every other player that I can think of, big first-round stars, like they've had someone with them. And he hasn't been given that. So he's X factor not because I expect him to do better or something, or he's lagging behind. Like I think he's doing great because he has no one. Breakout for this year, I don't know. I'm going to say Knight just because let's see, he's going to get a starting role probably or at least half the games. So let's see what he's got. And then for bounce back, I want to say bounce back Foligno. Is what I'm going to go for. Nick Foligno. Old guy, but he can put up maybe 15 goals or so. I don't know. Let's see.
X Factor's Bedard. Evidently, highest ceiling can affect the team the most. Breakout is Nazar, because he better break out with that contract. And then bounce back is Spencer Knight getting a starting role, hopefully being healthy. And, has had some good stats previously as a backup. So, yeah.
All right, my standings prediction for this team is 8th in the Central.
My standings prediction for this team is also 8th in the Central.
Same.
All in agreement.
Yes.
For once.
All right, let's move on to a much better team in the Colorado Avalanche. Their new additions were Brent Burns and Victor Olofsson. And then their key departures were Charlie Coyle, Jonathan Jewin, Miles Wood, and Ryan Lindgren. They're the 29th ranked prospect pool. There isn't really much to talk about. Nabokov is a pretty interesting goalie prospect, but we won't see him for a pretty long time because they have a good starter that they've signed for a long time. And then Gavin Brindley's pretty decently skilled. Let's go through the lineup.
We have Arturi Lehkonen with Nathan McKinnon and Nechus, Landeskog with Nelson and Nichushkin, Olofsson with Colton and Kiviranta, Kelly, shout out, with Drury and Ivan, and Barkov with Steinberg as potentials. On defense, we don't have Jonathan Taves, we have Devon Taves with Makar. We have Samuel Girard with Manson. Malinsky also used to be on the Sens. With Brent Burns, and then Middleton as your 7th. And then in net, we have Mackenzie Blackwood and the other Wood of Wedge.
All right, the team stats from last year. So they were 49, 29, and 4, which was 7th in the league. 40 regulation wins, which was 8th, lost in the first round of the playoffs. 3.33 goals for per game, which was 6th, and 2.8 goals against per game, which was 12th. 24.8 power play percentage, which was 8th, and 79% PK, which was also 12th. And their average age is 27.
All right. Homer, you can start with the forwards for this one.
I give the forwards an A-. The reason I give them an A- is obviously they have superstar McKinnon, I like that. I like Nature's up there. They're not, they're not in like the A plus category right now just because that Rantanen loss, I don't think is, that Rantanen loss will affect them. And I have question marks around how Landeskog is going to perform after 2 years off. I know he came in briefly in the playoffs, but that was very briefly. Landeskog playing for a full season after a long time off. Nichushkin's health is also a big concern, so I don't know. I'm at A- just because there's questions about who's going to actually play, and the second line center is a 33-year-old Nelson, who I don't know what he's going to do either.
Yeah, I'll give it a B+. McKinnon, obviously very good. Nechus, breakout year last year, but was very, very good in the first half. Good in the second half, not as good. And then something's always happening with Valerie Nichushkin, so who knows if he's going to be there the whole time. Landeskog, again, like Omar said, health, let's see how that goes. And then, Olofsson, he should be a top 6 guy for his skills, but he's not. Then, you have a lot of younger people who are less established, in my opinion. So it's not the bottom 6 doesn't scream super secure for me. But evidently you have, some people would say, you could argue, the best center. So I've heard on Chicklets. A guy who could literally get you 140 points this year, and that wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility somehow. So, yeah.
I have them as an A on forwards. Even with Landeskog being a bit of a question mark, I actually liked how he played in the playoffs. And then Brock Nelson, for me, coming from the Islanders, being on a team that was so struggling on offense for so long, and him still producing is a pretty big thing. So I like him as a 2C on this team. And then Natchez and McKinnon, I think that's a pretty electric combo with how they both skate. I think it's a pretty sick combo to have. And I think Natchez is going to perform pretty well. So Nichushkin, the question marks are always there, but I think when he plays, he's over a point a game usually, or close. And then their bottom 6, I don't mind either. I really like their center depth of McKinnon, Nelson, and Colton, and Drury. I think that's very good center depth. So they're an A for me.
In terms of grades, in terms of X factors, I would...
No, the defense.
Oh, sorry. Defense, my bad. Their defense gets an A from me. When you have Makar, you have an A. But Makar Taves, I like. Burns is an interesting one. I don't know. He's 40. I'm sure, big body back to the third pairing, limited minutes. I'm sure he'll be useful. But mainly because of Makar and Taves.
Yeah, I think it's an A. I think that's probably the best pair in the NHL. And then I think Manson's really good second pairing. Gerard, undersized, but moves well. Having the experience of Brent Burns, and I think with limited minutes on the third pair isn't bad. And then Middleton can go beat the shit out of people if you need. So I like it.
Yeah, I have them as A as well. Gerard Manson, too. Bless you. as a second pair. It's a good combination of players. Like Dryard is like a small offensive defenseman, and Manson is just a huge hitting defensive defenseman. So it's a good combination. And then Burns obviously isn't going to have to play a big role, and I think that's going to fit pretty well on this team with either Malinsky or Middleton.
For goalies, I'm giving them a B minus.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm giving them a B minus. Just because I don't know. I don't really know what to expect out of Blackwood going into next season. I don't know. I'm a bit like I don't really know. That's all I can say. I don't really have. Yeah. I don't know. He hasn't proven like some massive stuff to me yet. I don't know.
I would say I'm between a B and a B plus. I will say a B because I think Wedgwood is a good backup, but Blackwood did have decent stats, but on a very good team. Like, for example, if Sufi played goaltender for the Carolina Hurricanes, I'm sure his stats wouldn't look that bad, sort of thing. Like, there are teams that goalies often hold better stats, and I know they had a couple goalies with really bad stats early last year, but those were like historically bad. So I'd just like to see a larger sample size of Blackwood because he wasn't playing as much for a few years. So I'd just like to see a bit more, but a B with room to be higher than that.
Maybe I'm optimistic, but I gave him an A minus. I like Blackwood as a starter, and his numbers because you got to trade him in season, right? His numbers between San Jose and Colorado were not that different, which is very interesting. Like the GAA obviously went up, but he had a 9.11 save percentage in San Jose and a 9.13 in Colorado. So, and he's kind of proven to me that like he's able to handle the games and everything too. So, and he was pretty good at the playoffs when he did. Even though Colorado lost in the first round, it was just a tough matchup for them. But yeah, like skill wise, goalie wise, like he's up there for me. And Wedgwood is one of the better backups in the league. Like he's proven that pretty well over the last 4 or 5 years.
Yep. Okay. So my X factor is going to be Blackwood, just because like I know he performed decent and whatnot, but like I just want to see what he does over a full season, and I think the goaltending is going to be a big difference. And like you have the skill up front, you have the skill on defense. Is the goaltending going to match what you have up front to like give you that solid base, even just going into the playoffs and whatnot? So I'm going to do goalies. Blackwood.
And then your other two.
Oh yeah. So my breakout for them, I don't really know how to say breakout because it's not like they have a lot of like young guys who are. Okay, I'm gonna do breakout for my breakout's also gonna be Blackwood. He's gonna have a crazy save percentage, And then my bounce back is I'm gonna say Landeskog just because I know he was injured, he didn't play bad or something, but he needs to bounce back from that.
My X factor is Nathan MacKinnon. He has, I would say he's the best player. Makar's right there too, but I think they're better on defense than they are forward. So he has the biggest opportunity to rally them. My breakout will be Nexus. If he has a full season of dominating again, sort of thing, I'd be very impressed. And so he puts up over a point per game. Again, very impressive. And then for bounce back, obviously Gabriel Landeskog. That's the bounciest of backs. So.
For my X factor, I have Natchez. I think you're kind of filling the shoes of one of the better players on Colorado for the last 8 years or whatever it was in Rantanen. So he has a lot to prove. He also is, I think, in a contract year or going to be going into a contract year. So he has a lot to prove, and I think that playing with MacKinnon, like with the skill he has, you have to produce. My breakout is also Blackwood. I think just a full season on Colorado, he's going to have some of the better numbers in the league. And then my bounce back is actually Brock Nelson because he's always around late 20s to 30 goals, and the year that the Islanders were having when he got traded, he wasn't really able to get to that number as much. So
Well, on a very low scoring team.
on a very
anyway.
low scoring team. So I think he's going to bounce back and be around late 20s in goals and like close to maybe not 60 points, but it'll be closer to what his regular season is rather than what happened last year.
Alrighty.
Where do you have them?
I have Colorado second in the division.
Evan?
I have Colorado second in the division.
I have Colorado first in the division. Let's move on to the other team. That's probably going to be in our top
Stars.
two.
Dallas
Their new
Stars.
their new additions are Radek Faksa, and that's it. And then their key departures are Mikhail Granlund, Marchment, Dadonov, and Cody Ceci. That's a really key departure, actually.
In a good way.
Another low-ranked prospect pool, and for this one, I don't really have much for you. Emil Hemming is decent. That's all I can give you.
All right.
For lineups, we have Robertson with Hintz and Rantanen. We have Ben with Duchesne and Johnston. Steele with Seguin and Bork. Back with Faksa and Blackwell. Higher
I'm going to say
Carowian.
Rickowian. I'm going to assume that H is silent.
Requiem. Yep. And Bastion fighting for spots. On defense, we have Heiskanen with Harley, Liddell with Labushkin, Bichelle with Lundqvist, Kolyachonov
Chanok.
and Petrovic. And then in net, we have the Otter and DeSmith.
All right, Evan, we'll start with you this time. Oh,
Team
no.
stats.
Team
bro.
stats.
Yeah.
Slow. My bad. Okay, the record from last season, 50 wins, 26 losses, and 6 OT losses, which was 5th in the league. 41 regulation wins, which was 6th. Lost in the 3rd round of the playoffs. 3.35 goals for per game, which was 3rd, and 2.71 goals against per game, which was 6th. They had a 22% power play, which was 17th, and an 82% PK, which was 4th. Damn, that's a good PK. And an average age of 26 years old. I mean, let's kick it off with you.
For forwards, I think this is one of the best forward cores. The top 6 is quite insane. And then having Seguin on your 3rd line with someone like Bork, who's apparently was one of the best AHL players for a few years. I think this is an A. Because, yeah, you have scoring wingers, you have good center depth. It's a little older, but I think that helps come playoffs and throughout the season, just kind of like keeping calm. People been there before. So that's kind of where I'm at for that.
Sufi.
Well, I have them as an A as well. Like, what we saw from Ranson in the playoffs, I think it's going to be more what we see from him in the regular season, pretty much what he's done in Colorado his whole career. Center depth is good. Seguin's health is a big question pretty much every year, but I think he, when he played last year, he was really good. And then, they have a good mix of not young, but like younger players with their veterans that are already there. And yeah, like the team offense is pretty nuts.
Yeah, also an A from me. The reason it's not at an A plus is just because I think, in my opinion anyway, there's a couple of question marks with a couple of players. Like Ben's up there in age. I know he still decently performs. I think Sega is also getting up there in age. Plus, he doesn't stay like that healthy. So there's a couple of things like that where some of these depth pieces and these older guys who are generally good might be out or whatnot, or might perform the same as we think they might. And also, like Duchesne's another one like that. Like I know he had an 80-ish point season, whatever, last season, but that was like the first time in a while I think he had 80 points. And is he going to hit that again? So there's just a couple of question marks in terms of is the performance going to reach the same again? So A, not A plus.
Defense, 7.
Defense also, I think, is quite solid. Heiskanen, Harley, and Lindell, pretty solid. Labushkin, good defensively. Lundqvist is young. The rest is okay. I would give it an A minus. I think having a number 1 defenseman in Heiskanen is really good. Harley, taking strides. Lindell's a great second pair, and then having more defensive options lower down. I think it's quite solid.
This is a really weird defense core for me. Like half of it, I'm like sick with Heiskanen, Harley, and Lindell, but then Lechushkin, Lundqvist, Bichelle. Bichelle is just a really big.
You created first, Sufi.
B.
Okay.
Sorry, he did the same thing, and I kind of like it. I give it a B, but the second half of this D core is kind of concerning to me. Like Lechushkin, Lundqvist, and Bichelle are just like very options to me. And this is very heavily carried by those three defensemen, so it's a B for me.
I'll give it an A minus just because I do like Heiskanen a lot, and I think Harley did really well last season, and I think at 24, I think he's going to get even better. I think that Four Nations was a great experience for him too, to like help him develop. So I think Harley is going to be a big, like even better this season. I obviously Lindell. Lyubushkin, I know like he's not a sexy defenseman, but like I think he's effective in what he can do. Like I know, obviously I'm sure you can get a better option on your second pair on the right side than Lyubushkin. Right-handed D are not easy to come by though, especially really good ones. So he's not like a terrible option or something. I'm okay with that top four with him in there right now. So yeah.
Evan, goalies?
It's good. DeSmith isn't the craziest backup in the world, but I think Ottinger is one of my preferred goalies in the league. So I will give it an A. I feel like if you have one of the elite starters in the league, it's hard to go lower than in the A's. And he's going to play quite a few games. And I think even when DeSmith plays, it's a good enough team that they can win games with him as well.
It's an A for me. DeSmith was one of the better backups in the league with a .915 save percentage last year. With qualified goalies, he was one of the better backups in the league, or he was the best backup in the league last year. And then Ottinger is just one of the best starters in the league, so it's hard to give anything less than an A.
Yeah, A for me as well. Mainly because of Ottinger. I don't know what the game split is between these guys. Like I'm assuming Ottinger takes 70% of the games, 60% of the games. I don't know though. But it's A mainly because of Ottinger. I'm sure DeSmith gets in probably 20-ish games. I don't know. But yeah, A.
27 games, 259 GA, 915 save percent.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So yeah, A is A. Okay. Evan, your X Factor, breakout, and bounce back.
X Factor is Miro Heiskanen. Didn't have him for a lot of last year, and he's, again, like, you could argue their best player. And I think a lot of really successful teams have elite players at multiple positions, and so they need him to be the best team and to win a Stanley Cup. My breakout would be Maverick Bourque. Like I said, he was doing really, really well in the AHL, had some taste in the NHL last year, and I think probably having a slightly bigger role this year and just filling himself with more confidence, he could have a lot more points this year. And then bounce back, I have Jamie Benn, having, again, probably being in the top 6 on power play and stuff. If he can continue to put up points at an older age at a cheaper price point, it'd be super helpful for them. Not that they need more scoring, but it would just continue to help this team.
My X factor is Matt Duchene. I think because last year he led their team in points and was also third in goals, a lot of people are projecting a drop off for him this year, and I think I'm not in disagreement with that, which is why I have him here as the X factor, is because I think however much he does drop off is going to affect his team at least a little bit. But if he can keep it above 70 points, I think is going to be huge for this offense. Breakout, I also have Bourque. I think him not being in the NHL until now in a regular role is pretty much as a product of how deep this team was. And because with the departures of Granlund, Marchand, and Dadonov, he finally gets a chance in the top 9. So I think he's kind of a dark horse candidate to reach 25-ish goals if he can work his way into the top 6 somehow. And then bounce back, I have Heiskanen, literally just because of injury.
Okay. My X factor is I'm gonna say my X factor is Harley. Just because I think that on that first pair defenseman, I think he's gonna be carrying a heavy load especially since like that third pairing and stuff isn't the strongest. And we know what we're going to get out of Heiskin and stuff. We know Lindell and Labushkin what they're going to provide, but Harley is the one that we want to like. We're kind of seeing where he goes. So that my breakout, I'm also going to say Harley for the same reasons. And then my bounce back for the season is actually Jason Robertson. I know that it's hard to say bounce back for a player that got like 80, 82 points last season, but the reason I say bounce back is because I feel like this is the season that might determine whether we consider Jason Robertson as like a PPG player, which is generally what he's done in the last 2 years, or if he can ever get back to kind of that 95, 100, 105 point season, like he had 109, 10 points, what was it, 2 years ago? So can that come back? Can that Jason Robertson make an appearance again? Or is it going to be mainly is this PPG kind of his general average for his career, and that was an outlier? So, yeah.
Is he going to be a first-time forward or like a superstar forward?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Evan, where do you have this team finishing?
I have this team finishing first in the Central.
I have them second.
I have them first as well.
Nice. Moving on to the Minnesota Wild. Their new additions are Vladimir Tarasenko, who seems to just be popping teams like crazy for the last 3 years, and then Nico Sturm. And their key departures are Frederick Gaudreau, and that's pretty much it. They have the 5th ranked prospect pool in the league, according to Daily Prospects. A lot of good players here. Buyam, don't know really how to say his name, he's up there in terms of Calder candidates this year. I think him and Perech, and then guys like Leonard and Demidov and everyone, like I think Demidov's the favorite, but I think Buyam and Perech are kind of up there. So he's definitely going to be playing this year and be in their top 6. And then Wallstead still qualifies as a prospect, but with Fleury gone, he's going to be in their backup. And then someone like Ogren is definitely going to push for a lineup spot as well.
Lineups are Kirill the Thrill with Rossi and Boldy, Johansson with Eriksson Ek and Zuccarello, Foligno with Hartman and Tarasenko, Trennan with Sturm and Mack, Ogren with Yurov and Hinostroza fighting for spots. On defense, we have Middleton, fantasy legend, with Faber, Buyam with Spurgeon, Juracek with Bogosian.
Kierstad.
I don't know.
Kierstead and Johnston.
Where's Brodin?
LTIR.
Forever?
No, he's on LTIR. He's going to miss at least half the season.
Oh, poor guy. I forgot they had Juracek.
Yeah.
Interesting. Bogosian, Kierstead, and Johnson. In net, we have Gustafsson and Wallstead.
All right, and their stats from last year, so 45, 30, and 7, which was their record, and they were 12th. 33 regulation wins, which was 15th, lost in round 1 of the playoffs in a pretty crazy series, actually. 2.74 goals for per game, which is 25th. 2.88 goals against per game, which was 16th. 20.9 power play percentage, which was 20th, and 72.4 PK percentage, which was 30th. Damn. And their average age is 23 years old.
All right, I'll start with their forwards. It's not terrible, I guess. I give it a B+. And like a lot of that is to do with like Kaprizov and Boldy. Like Kaprizov's superstar, Boldy he's bordering on elite. I think he needs to take another step. But the center depth is interesting. We're gonna have to see if Rossi takes another step, Eriksson Ek's health, and then Ryan Hartman is like a good third line center. But on the wings, it doesn't really do it for me. So yeah, B+ for me. Homer?
Yeah, I think B+ is fair. I would do the same. Same reasons like Kaprizov, Boldy. They bring that grade up. I'm not sure how I feel about the depth there. And Zuccarello's, I might pick him for goal scoring again this year. But, he's up there. So yeah.
No, I'll give it an A- because they have an elite player in Kaprizov, and then they have not terrible depth. Like I know some of these people are older, And apparently Marcus Foligno's 4 years old. I'm sorry, I got distracted by that. But I think their lower down lineup is pretty solid compared to other teams. Like I think Hartman, Foligno, Trenin, Tarasenko, and even like Hinnis Rosa fighting for a spot. Like that's healthy competition, some solid players in there. And then you have a Boldy, like apparently what's his name? The GM of this team. Bill Guerin.
Yeah.
He's like Boldy. He sees as like a 50-50 guy potentially. I'm not saying that's going to be him, but he's been very good and continues to get better.
He needs 50 points in 50 games, kind of thing.
No, he's saying 50-50 as like 50 goals, 50 assists.
Oh,
yeah, and Rossi's still getting better. So I actually think it's an underrated forward core in my opinion.
It's funny because you made a comment about Foligno, but I had Johansson as 0.8.
I did see that too.
Yeah. The D-core, I think the loss of Brodin. Like I say half the year, but I actually don't even know what it is. I'm pretty sure it's like he's out for a while, and that's pretty much all we know. I think that hurts quite a bit because now Faber and Spurgeon are good. Like probably first pair defensemen, I guess. Spurgeon is up there in age. Middleton is like decent enough top four, and Bogosian he's just there for me. But then William and Jurasek are like very interesting players. It's similar to Chicago where like you need these players to perform now. So I have them as a B. It could go up depending on how well William plays this year. But right now it's a B, mostly just because Brodin is hurt.
Yeah, I'll say B as well. I'm interested to see what Faber does this season. And I like Spurgeon as a second pairing guy, but yeah, I don't. Bogosian doesn't do anything for me. Yeah, and
Relief.
yeah, he was there.
Yeah, it's a B. I think Faber is good, but I think people, in my opinion, hold him a little high for now. I think he's still getting better. But some people are like, oh my gosh, Brock Faber's like the man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's the man yet, but he can be the man.
23, he could be on his way.
Yeah.
It's only third year now.
Yeah. Spurgeon, solid. Middleton, solid. Bumyurchek, lots of potential there. So I think it's solid all around, but I think Brodin out for however long is definitely a big miss. And when he's back, that D-core would have a better rating.
The goalies I give a B+. I think I'm full believer of Gustafsson, especially after last year. One of the better goalies in the league last year. Got Vezina goals last year. Like he was very electric, and now this is probably his second year out of 3 that he's been very good. And being that he's 27 now, he's entering his prime. Wallstedt is a bit of a wild card, but he was one of the top goalie prospects. Would have been a goalie last year for them if Fleury wasn't there, which I think they were just keeping Fleury there out of respect, even though Wallstedt is probably better at that time. But we'll see. I think he's only going to play like 20-25 games, but I think he'll hold his own. So yeah, B+ for me.
I'll go B+ as well. Just I think the grade goes up a little than it would have been if Fleury was still there. I'm sorry, I love Marc-Andre Fleury. It's just he got old. And yeah, Gustafsson's been doing great, and he's a 27-year-old goalie. Like that's a great starter for a number of years. So yeah.
Yeah, goalie. I think this is one of the higher ones. I think I'm going to give this a only because it's young and goalies. I know Gustafsson had good stats, but Wallstedt, being a legit one of the 2 goalies that they're relying on may take a little bit of adjustment. But if any prospect goalie can do it, I think he's one of the top ones. So,
all right, X Factor, breakout, and bounce back for this team. My X Factor is Joel Eriksson Ek. With Rossi being so young, I think Eriksson Ek being healthy and being good is going to be a huge help for them. When he's on, he can score 30 goals and he shoots a ton. So, and is always up there in like the Selke nominations. So we need a full, good, healthy year out of him. Breakout is Boldy, as Bill Guerin said. Let's see what happens. I think his goal scoring numbers can increase. I think he's been around 30 the last couple of years. So I want to see a jump to 40 for him this year. And then bounce back is Brock Faber. Had a great rookie season. Had a bit of a drop off last season. So love to see him get back to being good again.
My X factor is Marcus Foligno because at 4 years old, that's
That's not actually yours, is it?
That's not son.
Okay.
I just wanted to say that. Yeah, my X factor is Kaprizov. Obviously because he's at that like kind of superstar level, but also when players go into this contract year kind of not signing negotiation stuff, it always kind of I think puts a spark up their ass a little bit. So I don't. I think that's gonna be a big. His boost might really make it
He might not be on his team halfway through the year.
I mean, yeah. I mean, this is assuming obviously he's not traded. And then my potential breakout, I'm going to use Faber as a breakout because he had a great first season as a rookie season. He had a bit of a sophomore slump last year, but third year at 23, like this could be like a very big year for him. And my bounce back is Tarasenko. I think at 33, he's not some old age guy or something. I think from what he used to be, like obviously he's not going to be some like 90-point guy, but I think he could do better than he's done in the last couple of years.
Yeah, so I have Kaprizov as the X factor. Obviously, he is the man, turning down the biggest contract ever. Rossi is a breakout. Continuing to get better. Had a good year last year, but teams need strong centers, and I think he's the guy with the most potential right now of being one of the younger guys. And then also for bounce back, Eriksson Ek having a healthy season would be also again helpful to kind of solidify that center core.
Okay.
I'm so hungry.
My standings prediction for this team, I have them as the first team out of the playoffs at 6th in the Central.
Oh, you're ranking them at 6th? Okay. I have them at 5th in the Central, right?
Yeah, making or missing.
I have them 5th missing.
I have them 4th making.
I think my evaluation of the Pacific Division was that it's going to be complete garbage. So I think the Central is going to be really competitive, and they're just going to miss by like a point or two.
Yeah, I struggled with the Central from picks 3 to 6. I struggled a bit in terms of where I wanted to put teams, just because of they were quite close last season, with St. Louis,
and Utah
as well actually, and then with Minnesota this season, I'm just I don't see them doing enough in terms of what they brought in or whatnot and changes they made to be okay, now you're a definite in, and I feel like another team or so might take over. So yeah.
All right, Nashville Predators had a less tumultuous offseason this year. Still made some new additions in Howla, Haig, and Perbix, and their key departures were Sissons and Lausanne. Prospect pool is ranked 12th. Some decent players. They got Wood that might make the lineup. And then there was a lot of discussion about, I can't remember his name, but his name's Martin. I think he's the 5th pick this year. He projects to be more of a defensive center, kind of a middle 6 player. They picked him pretty high, so they believe in him. He could turn out to be good. But yeah.
All right. Yeah. Lineup.
Me?
Yeah.
All right, so the lineup for this team is Forsberg, O'Reilly, and Marchessault, Stamkos, Howla, and Evangelista, Bunting, Svechkov, and Kemmel, Smith, McCarron, and Leroux, Schaefer, Weisblatt, and Wood.
Oh, is that Peter Schaefer?
Yep. On defense, we have Yossi and Blankenberg. Shea and Barron, Haig and Perbix, and Australay. Then in net we have Saros and Anunin.
All right, from last season, their record was 30, 44, and 8, which was 30th in the league. 24 regulation wins, which was 27th. They missed the playoffs. 2.59 goals per game, which was 31st. 3.34 goals against per game, which was 27th. 21.9% power play, which was 18th, and an 81.5% PK, which was 7th. Their average age is 26 years old. Okay, I'll kick this one off. Their forwards, I'm going to give them a C. Just because obviously they didn't do anything worth it last season. Otherwise, they would have made the playoffs. Although they have some good names there, and they have players who didn't perform terribly in terms of the bigger names like Forsberg, Marchessault, and Stamkos, and especially at Stamkos and Marchessault's age, like what they did, I don't think you're gonna expect that much more from them this season. Like what Stamkos had a 27 goal season, like at 35, 36 probably this season. Like I don't, how much more are you expecting? Um, and then with and then it's a very aged lineup in terms of the names like O'Reilly, Marchessault, Forsberg. Like Forsberg is still on the younger end for compared to these guys, but 34, 35 year olds in your top six. It just I don't really know how you're gonna compete still.
What was your grade?
It was a C.
Kevin?
I would say a C plus. Not a great center core in my opinion. The top two guys probably not a first and a second ranked where they are. And then Forsberg's good. Then you have names in Stamkos and Marchessault, but they are aging, so I don't see them progressing to be better. I like Bunting.
Yeah.
But it's really not screaming very strong to me, other than McCarron because he always scores against the Sens.
I gave this team a C plus
Okay.
on their forward core. Forsberg is elite, and then the rest is that's all I got.
All right, for defense, I'm gonna give them a C plus, and that C plus is only because of Yossi, even though Yossi's also 35 years old now. I'm gonna be honest. I don't really know much about Blankenberg.
I'm pretty sure it's Blankenberg. I spelled it wrong.
Oh, okay, sorry. I don't know much about Blankenberg. And their third pairing is new guys who I guess we'll see how they do. But I'm gonna C plus is what
I actually think it's not that bad. I think it's a B. I think it's a strong left side. I like Haig. Perbix I like as a third pair. Blankenberg I don't think is a top pair. Barron still young, but again I would prefer him on a third pair. That left side is carrying in my opinion.
I gave them a B minus. I like Yossi. Shea's decent. Haig is okay. Haig and Perbix is actually a good bottom pair.
That's a really good bottom pair.
The problem is like Haig's making 5.5 sheets, so
that's the thing. He's
yeah.
But the guys on the right, like
Yeah.
he's technically paid to be one of their top four, which he probably will be.
Yeah, and then Blankenberg, he actually filled in pretty well on the power play for them. I mean, power play wasn't great, but he was actually decent on the power play when Yossi was out. So, it's a B minus for me. Barron came from Montreal. He's pretty okay. Yeah.
Goalie. I will give the goalie a B. Just because I still like Saros. I know he's had up and down years and it's been a little inconsistent for him, but I like him. Annunen is not great. So, B.
I give it a B plus. I think Saros, though undersized, has the potential to be and still is one of the better goalies. And not the craziest backup. But when, like I said earlier, when you have a pretty good backup, it's hard to give you a pretty good starter. It's hard to give you a low score.
If Saros was coming off one bad year, I'd probably give him a B, but he's coming off two, so I'm good on a B minus. Annunen is one of the worst backups in the league, so I'd give Saros pretty much a B minus by himself here. So
Okay. All right.
X factor.
X Factor. So for me, I think for this team, the X Factor has to be Forsberg, just because he's got to carry them. I think you have good qualities in players like O'Reilly, Marchessault, Stamkos, players who can still put some points up on the board even at their ages and contribute. But these are players that you have as supporting cast at these ages to younger guys who are coming in and potential breakout players and stuff. But so Forsberg is the carrier. Breakout player. I'll say breakout is Evangelista. I'll give Evangelista breakout, and then for bounce back, I'm gonna say Soros because hopefully he lives up to a $7.7 million contract.
X Factor is Saros. If they're gonna sniff anything, it's not because all their forwards are gonna be firing at once. It's not because their defense can be doing that. They have a couple guys at each of those, so Saros would be the biggest factor. Breakout, I have Evangelista because my name's in his name, and then bounce back is Stamkos. He was better in the second half, so was Marchessault, and so maybe some more consistency being in there, kind of knowing systems a bit more, have a bit more elongated success there.
Fair enough. My X factor is Saros as well. I think if this team does anything, it's on his back, and because of how he's been the last couple of years, they haven't really been able to get anywhere. Breakout is also Evangelista. He's just one of the better young players, so probably going to be their top 6 and get all the opportunities to do so. And then the bounce back, I have Roman Josi. Also, seems to be the theme with my things is just bouncing back from injury. Because when he plays, he's one of the better players in the league. And he's coming back from a pretty serious injury too. So it's going to be a huge bounce back for him, hopefully. Or where do you have this team?
I've got the Predators in 7th in the Central.
Evan?
I have them 7th in the Central.
I also have them 7th in the Central. And not close to 6th.
No, yeah.
The St. Louis Blues.
Ooh.
New additions, Nick Bustad, Pius Suter, and Logan Mailloux. Key departures, Bolduc and Faxa. They have the 17th ranked prospect pool, but they have a couple of pretty big ones in Snuggerud, who was pretty good in the playoffs last year, actually. But he still qualifies as a rookie, and he is definitely going to be a breakout candidate for them. Dvorsky also could potentially figure into this lineup. He's a little lower on the depth chart, probably going to get some AHL time, but he's another high pick that's going to get some run. And then Logan Mailloux is also going to get an opportunity this year after that trade from Montreal. Evan?
We have Holloway with Thomas and Kyrou, Neighbors with Suter and Buchnevich, Tropchenko with Shen and Snuggerud, Joseph with Sundqvist and Bukestad, and then Walker with Texier trying to break into the lineup. On defense, we have Fowler and Parayko, Broberg and Falk, Tucker and Kessel, and then Mailloux trying to break in. And we have Bennington and Hofer in net.
And that's Phil Kessel.
Yep.
Their record from last season, 44, 30, and 8, which was 14th in the league. 32 regulation wins, which was 15th. Lost in round 1 of the playoffs. 3.05 goals for per game, which was 13th. 2.8 goals against, which was 11th. 22% power play, which was 16th. And 74% PK, which was 28th. Their average age is 26 years old. All right, let's start with Evan this time. Let's go. What's your take on the forwards? You agreed?
I think it's pretty solid, actually. I think it's a pretty good top 6. I think Holloway was breaking out and did really well. Neighbors, I think, is like a solid middle 6 guy. Shen being on the third line is really good. Snuggerud, like Sufi said, had a strong playoffs, and I think with a good offseason can do a lot better too. I think it's pretty solid. I'm going to give it an A-.
Sufi?
I was teetering between an A- and a B+. I think I ultimately settled on a B+, just because center core, mostly. I think that Thomas is first-line center for sure. I think Shen and Suter are going to be kind of competing for that second-line spot. Suter actually had a really good year in Montreal, Vancouver. So if you can repeat that, it'll definitely work them more towards an A-. But I'd really like their wingers for sure, like Holloway, Neighbors, Torchenko with Kyrou, Buchnevich, and Snuggerud on the other side is definitely a good set of wingers. And then, the bottom 6 itself is also pretty good. This is a very deep forward core.
A- for me. Obviously, the depth is there. I would say that a couple of question marks for me are like I would look to if Kyrou can kind of push himself out of that 70-ish point range to maybe being that 80-point guy if he can do something like that. I mean, I think that would help. And then obviously if Neighbors can take another step, so yeah, it would be an A minus for me.
Defense.
Defense, I also think it's not bad. Fowler and Pareko together actually were pretty solid last year. Broberg, I really like as a up and coming defenseman, and I think he's a solid top four. Falk's older, but I think he's not bad. Bottom pair, I don't really know a lot about, so I'm going to give it a B because I think it's the top four is decent, but there's no number one per se.
Yeah, I gave it a B plus for that reason. Pretty much, I actually like Tucker and Kessel. I know a decent amount about, and they're same age and actually pretty similar to each other, just left and right-handed. But it's actually a pretty good bottom pair. And then the top four is good, but as Evan said, there's no real number one there. I think Broberg actually could develop into a top two defenseman, but it's kind of remains to be seen.
Come on, no number one. Look at Pareko, man. First Nations, potential Team Canada.
First Nations?
Sorry, Four Nations. First Nations. B for me, just because, Fowler's not a top two defenseman.
Defense, also think it's pretty decent. Goalie, I also think it's pretty decent. Bennington, I do believe to be a starter, and then Hofer, I think, is a solid backup. I'm gonna say it's between a B and a B plus. I'm gonna give it a B because I think there's not necessarily a bad option there, but I don't think either of them are gonna steal games.
I give this a B plus. I see it more as like a 1A, 1B situation here. Mm-hmm. I think Hofer has kind of just been working behind Binnington, just getting better, and it's kind of allowed him to work his way into the NHL a little bit after being one of the better goalie prospects. And I think this year we could potentially see the shift between the two where Hofer ends up getting a bit more games. And he looked really good last year in the games that he did play. So it's a B plus for me.
B plus for me too. I know Binnington has had his tough years, but I think when he has a decently solid team in front of him with some good depth and a team that has the potential to be successful.
Hey, you won the Four Nations.
He won the Four Nations, and I think if he has a team in front of him that can be successful, I think he kind of keeps his emotions more in check. He's able to kind of relax a bit more if the team's doing better. Because I think those years where St. Louis was kind of lower after the Cup win, he was a little bit too erratic, and his performance just was the same. But I think this way it kind of works for him. Team's a bit better, and he will steal you games when they matter, which he's proven in his career. He might not have the most consistent game after game after game performance, but when the game matters, I think he will steal you games.
That's a good way to describe it, actually.
Yeah.
Nice. X Factor breakout bounce back out.
My X Factor player is Jordan Kyrou. Thomas, I feel like, honestly, both of them have proven themselves to be good top six NHLers or even first liners. And I think Thomas has proved that he can get 80 plus, 60 assists, very, very strong. And Kyrou has had back-to-back good goal scoring years. But again, with the kind of money he's being paid and the role he's getting, I would hope that he can break out even more so and score kind of 35 to 40 goals. I think that'd be a great step for him. What the heck, where am I? Breakout, I think Broberg, like Sufi was saying earlier, I think he could prove himself to be the best defenseman on this team this year. And for bounce back, I'm going to say Binnington. And he kind of just establishes himself as the team made the playoffs last year and continues to hopefully prove themselves to be a consistent playoff team as a steady starter.
My X Factor is Suter. I think Kyrou, we kind of know what to expect from him. Same with Thomas. I think is one of the better first line centers. I think he figures into close to top 10, maybe top 10. And I think with that, what happens behind him is going to be important. And I think they got Suter because of the year that he had in Vancouver, so they kind of want him to at least be close to what he was there. But it's very important for the second and third line that he does perform. Breakout, as I was talking about with the goalies, I think Hofer is going to break out and end up taking some games from Binnington and making it more of a 50-50 split, so that they can work towards the future with him as a starter, because they give him another extension, and I think that's what they're kind of hoping for at some point. So I think that happens this year. And then my bounce back is Buchnevich. He had a bit of a down year last year. I think for the most of his career, it's been like he's been around a point a game, but he's also only played 60 games. But then last year he played 80 games and only got 60 points. So I think if we can see like a 70 plus fully healthy year from him, it's going to be a bit of a bounce back for him.
For my X factor, it's Binnington, just because I think his consistency in his play and just being at a level that you kind of want to more expect from him will help the team overall. Because I think that they have good depth and the defense is decent. I think overall, if they get better goaltending, they'll be a pretty competitive team. Because they were when they didn't have it last season at times. I think my breakout is going to be Jake Neighbors, just because I think with top 6 minutes, this is definitely like he's like a power forward guy who can give you, probably 20 to 25 goals in a regular season. That's probably his ceiling anyway with goals, unless he has like a random outlier. I don't see him being like 30, 35 goal scorer. But if he can get his assists up a little bit, if he can kind of, up his points to like, I don't know what he ended with last year, but I want to say like
he's like mid-40s.
If he can be like a 55-ish point, 60-point guy in his career, plus his other, aspects of the physical play and whatnot, I think that would be a big step up for him and obviously for the team. And then my bounce back, is probably Braden Shen. Yeah, I'm going to go Braden Shen for bounce back, yeah. I know he's up there in age, but I think he can produce a little bit more and make that third line a bit better.
Who's your X factor again?
Binnington.
All right, Evan, where do you have this team finishing?
I have this team finishing 5th and making the playoffs.
Yeah, I have this team 5th and making the playoffs.
I have them 3rd.
Okay.
Obviously making the playoffs, but I have them 3rd in the div, yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, honestly, 3 to 5 was pretty interchangeable for me. So.
Yeah.
Moving on to the Utah Mammoth, the second last team we're going to talk about. New additions. They had some pretty big ones this year. JJ Peterka, Brandon Tanev, Nate Schmidt, and Vitek Vanacek. Some key departures: Matej Michelli, who is Toronto's new Marner, Josh Stone, and Kesselring. They had the 7th ranked prospect pool, Tidge Gilna, the son of Jerome Gilna. It's probably their most intriguing prospect, because they see him being an elite player. But I think he's going to take a couple of years to get to the NHL. And then they have a pretty good prospect depth, but he's like the most elite talent. So, Evan?
We have Keller with Cooley and Genther, Peterka with Hayton and Schmaltz, Kerfoot with McBain and Krause, O'Brien with Stenlund and Tanev. We have Carcone and Yamamoto trying to break into the lineup. Sergachev and Marino on defense with Cole and Dursey, Mata and Schmidt. We have Valimaki and Perunovic fighting for spots as well. And in net, we have Pijmelka, Vanacek, and Ingram.
So let's start with you.
So, I gave their forwards a B+. I really like Keller, I really like Cooley, I really like Genther, I really like Peterka. And I think that, like, Keller, I feel like we're going to, 86 and 90 points are his career highs. I think he's going to be around that. Cooley had a good rookie season, improved by 20 points last year, and he's one of the more skilled players in that age range. So I think him on the first line with Keller and Gunther we're gonna see potentially a 70-point season out of him. And then Gunther for me is he's one of my favorite players to watch, and I think that with his shot, we could really see a big jump from him goals wise this year. He's produced at a high rate goals wise in the 2 years that he's played. But yeah, he's got a nasty shot and he can skate really well. So I think the wingers are good. Centers, after Cooley gets kind of thin with Hayton McBain, they're both third line centers in my eyes, but Hayton has filled in pretty well in the playing with Peterka or playing with Schmaltz. Peterka's obviously new, but yeah.
I will also give them. Well, you know what? I'm gonna give them A minus. Uh, I really like Keller. Obviously, I think Cooley and Genther are only gonna get better. I think these are potentially. I think Cooley himself is potentially like a future 85 point player. And he's only 21 and he already did like what 60 points last season or something, 65 points. Yeah, so yeah, I think I really like not only where they're going in terms of developing and where the team could go with these players like 2-3 years down the line when they get even more experience, but like even right now, I think going into next season they're gonna be great.
I just realized we didn't do team stats.
Oh shoot.
Just do that quick.
Okay, the record last season 38, 31, 13, which was 19th in the league. 30 regulation wins, which was 18th. They missed the playoffs. 2.93 goals for per game, which was 20th, and 3 goals against per game, which was 17th. 24% PP, which was 10th, and 79% penalty kill, which was 15th. And their average age is 27 or almost 28 years old. Yeah, okay, so so I give them an A minus because I also really like the addition of Peterka along with the way these young guys are developing on the top line. And contrary to what Sufi would say, because he'll probably hate this, but I do like Tanev in that bottom.
Oh, I mean, like if he's on the fourth line, I don't care.
Yeah, I like the vibes Tanev brings. I like the way he plays. He's pretty intense, and I know his numbers might not show that he's contributing in any meaningful way, but I think he does from eye test.
I'm gonna give it a B. A B plus. I think their wingers are very strong, and yeah, Cooley's solid. But yeah, I think centers are more important. So it's hard to give them a super high rating without a super strong center core.
In terms of defense, I actually really like their decor. I have them as an A minus. I think Sergachev kind of proved last year with a fully healthy season that he can be a number one defenseman. He's kind of playing in Hedman's shadow in Tampa for the longest time. But yeah, with a full season as him as the number one, he was really, really good. And then Marino and Dursey on the right side is solid. Cole has been a top 4 defenseman for a lot of his career. He's very defensive, block shots, not bad. And then Nate Schmidt and Mata as your bottom pair is very strong. So, and even their depth options of Valimaki and Perunovic, when they play, it's not really much of a hindrance. So it's an A minus for me.
Yeah, A minus for me too. I do really like Sergachev, and yeah, I think they have depth down there too. I'll give it A minus is good.
Yeah, A minus. They have number 1, and they have other guys in the top 4 that are also solid, and then depth with options is I think quality options. Like if Valimaki's not even in the lineup, I think he could be a very strong third pair as well.
I'm giving their goalies a B plus. I like Vejmelka a lot. I think he finally had like a full year as a starter last year, and he played pretty well. But also their backup options, like Vanacek as a 2 is not bad. Like him as a backup is actually like he's an above average backup. And then Ingram as your 3rd, if he can find what he did a couple of years ago and play similar to that level, he only needs to be the number 2 on this team at best if Vanacek falters at all. But yeah, it's a strong starter with 2 good backup options, so it's B plus for me.
It's a B for me. Yeah, Vejmelka's good. I just think maybe there's another gear potentially for him. Just to, I'd like to see maybe that save percentage go up a little bit more. But yeah, B.
Yeah, I mean, there's 3 options. Not like any one of them may end up being the legit starter, in my opinion. But again, with 3 options that could end up being your starter, I think a B's a fair score.
X Factor, breakout, and bounce back for this team. My X Factor is JJ Peterka. He's the new addition. They got him to score points, and he's going to need to do that. My breakout is Genther. I think that how Bill Guerin feels about Boldy is how I feel about with Genther. I think maybe not definitely not next year. I think he has the potential in his prime to be one of the actually 50 goal scorers in this league. But next year I could see a jump to 40 because he's had 27 this past year in 60 games. And he definitely has potential to score that. And I think this year with the team on an upward trend, I think they can do that this year. And then my bounce back is Sean Dursey. Same theme as pretty much all my bounce back picks. He was injured last year. He's a pretty good defenseman. And fully healthy, I think he's going to bounce back.
So my X factor, I'm going to say Keller just because, this is a potential 100-point guy. I'm going to say my breakout for this year, I would also go Genther. Just 22, I think, I'm curious to see what he does. And my bounce back, I would say Ingram. My bounce back, I think, he could potentially fight for at least 1B out of these three guys, and I don't think he had the most amazing season last year. But yeah,
My X factor is Sergachev. I think having a strong number one defenseman is really important. Breakout is Schmaltz. I know he's had good years, but with a weaker center core, and I know he can sometimes take faceoffs. Him being one of the higher scoring players, I think, is important. And then bounce back is just goalies in general. I think they need a strong performance from a or multiple goalies this year to have a chance at playoffs.
Pick one.
Phoenix Copley.
Pick one.
You can't write goalies.
Fine. All right. Standings prediction. So you had your bit of a surprise with St. Louis at third. I have the Utah Mammoth at third.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. I've got them at sixth.
I also have them at sixth.
Yeah. Obviously, nicely built team in terms of skill and potential. It's just I don't know how they're going to fare with some better teams right now.
I think they had a good year last year, and I think they're just going to improve. The second half, I think last year was important, and then I like their additions this year, so that's pretty much what I have them there.
All right.
Last team, the Winnipeg Jets. New additions, Gustav Nyquist, Tanner Pearson, and Jonathan Taves. New addition from India. Key departures, Nikolai Ehlers, Mason Appleton, and Brandon Tanev. Not a great prospect pool. They have Jaeger, who they got for Rutger McGroarty. He's probably like a middle six option at best at his full potential. And then Brad Lambert he was one of the highly touted players before, the year before he got drafted, and then his draft stock kind of fell like crazy and got picked late in the first round. He's very skilled, doesn't really have much going on in terms of his AHL points, but he figures to get an opportunity with this lineup because it doesn't have great forward depth. So,
all right.
So for forwards, we have Connor with Scheifele and Velarde, a strong first line. Niederreiter with Nemestikov and Perfetti. I follow with Taves and Nyquist. Pearson with Barron and Kepka. And then we have Gustafson and Lambert fighting for spots. On defense, we have Morrissey and DeMello, Sandberg and Pionk, Fleury and Shen, and Stanley and Miller fighting for spots. In goal, we have Hellebuck and Comrie.
All right, their stats from last season, they had a record of 56, 22, and 4. I believe they were first in the league, right?
Yeah.
Their 43 regulation wins, which was second. They lost in round 2 of the playoffs. Goals for per game was 3.3, which was fourth, and goals against was 2.3, which was first. Power play percentage was 28.9, which was first, and PK was 79.4, which was 13th, and their average age is 29 years old. All right, let's start with the biggest Winnipeg Jets fan out of the three of us, which is Evan.
Go Jets. Forward, I think it's a very strong first line. An okay depth. I think the second line isn't super strong. Third line, I don't know what Jonathan Taves is going to be like, but I don't think the wingers are too bad. I will give it a B. Could go up to B+, but I think that first line carries.
It's a B- for me. I think after the first line is pretty, bad. I don't really have much hope for that after the first line. And also, Gabe Velarde pretty much his entire career has been injury prone, so him being healthy is pretty important, especially considering they lost Ehlers. He needs to be healthy and needs to be good. But yeah, Niederreiter, Nemesnikov, and Perfetti is a third line. Iafallo, Taves, and Nyquist is a bad third line. And then Pearson, Barron, and Koepka could be an okay fourth line. So yeah, it's a B minus for me.
It's a B for me. It's not I could also potentially give it a B minus for the same reason Sophie said. It's just there's a couple of question marks that I think maybe could work out a bit better than I think. So I'm giving them a little bit of a better grade at B. But yeah, apart from the first line, there isn't much to be wow. I expect a lot from this team. Evan, defense.
I don't think it's bad. I think the first pair is pretty solid. I think Morrissey's been very strong over the past few years, and DeMello is kind of a constant, solid defensive presence. Pionk, I think, is a really good second pair guy. Again, Morrissey and Pionk being kind of undersized. Sandberg had a breakout last year. And then some experience on the third pair, and then some healthy competition with 8, you could argue, people who could make the lineup. So I'm going to give it a B+.
So I gave it a B. I like Morrissey. He's a solid first pair defenseman. DeMello is a good fit with Morrissey, being more defensive. Sandberg and Pionk is a decent second pair. I think, again, there's a good combination of offense and defense there. And then I don't really like their defense depth at all, to be honest. I don't like any of the 4 guys that are options.
Okay. Also give it a B+. Obviously, we know Morrissey. I do also like Pionk on the second pair. I think he's a big body and whatnot. I think What?
Pionk is tiny.
Oh, no, I confused him for their defenseman. Never mind. They used to have the other guy.
Pionk is a tiny 45-point offensive defenseman.
No, sorry, I missed it. They had another defenseman. What was his name? I can't remember now. And I thought it was Pionk. Okay. Well, anyway, I'll still give it a B+ because I like I like Morrissey, and I do. In the bottom pair, I think your bottom pair right-handed D in Shen is not terrible. He's able to give you a few solid minutes. It's fine. Yeah, B+ is for me. Evan, goalie. So it should be easy.
I'm going to give it an A+. I think, it's one of the most dominant goalies in the regular season that we've seen in my lifetime, at least. And he's going to play 70 games or more, so Comrie doesn't have to be that good. But Hellebuyck will give you a chance to win almost every single game.
Sophie.
I have it as an A. I'm going to change it to an A+. I think Winnipeg for the last 5-ish years has been an incredibly flawed team that it's been made up by Hellebuyck in the regular season, and it honestly shows in the playoffs. When he falters, the team falls apart. So it's hard not to give it an A+ because there's no player more important to their team right now than Hellebuyck, because if he plays even good instead of great, this team isn't making the playoffs.
I'm giving it an A, and the reason I give it an A is not anything about Hellebuyck. It's hard for me to the Winnipeg goaltending for me is a little bit weird because obviously Hellebuyck is this amazing all-world starter in the season and carries the team, and then playoffs come and obviously there's issues in the playoffs, and then it kind of just falls apart a little bit for him. But I'm not faulting him necessarily fully on that. The reason I'm giving it an A is because I think it would have been good for Winnipeg to bring someone in a bit better than Comrie who can potentially take away 10-ish, 15 games away from Hellebuyck. So Hellebuck's not playing 60, 65, up close to 70 games in a season, and then potentially just being really tired in the playoffs, which is, if he gets a bit more rest throughout the season, maybe that dominant Hellebuyck comes back a bit more in the playoffs. So yeah, I give it an A just because if they had a bit of a better backup, something, then yeah.
Interesting. I mean, Comrie when he plays 20 games is good, but I guess what you're saying. You want someone to play 30.
If Hellebuyck can take 55 games, even 50 games, and give someone 27, 30 games, and then give him that extra 10-ish games or 15 games that he's not getting of rest, and maybe it makes a difference in the playoffs. Is what all I'm saying. Like
That's fair.
him on his own is an A plus 100%. Just as a tandem, if someone can give him a bit more relief throughout the season, it might help him in the playoffs.
Fair enough. All right. X Factor breakout bounce back.
Evan,
X Factor Hellebuck. I don't need to explain. Breakout Brad Lambert. If he's, gets some time in the NHL, I could see him having like a 15-15 as his first season. Be pretty epic for him. And then bounce back Jonathan Taves. The biggest bounce back other than Landeskog. So
X Factor Hellebuck. I've said this when I talk about goalies. There's no player more important because if he plays even good, they're not making playoffs.
Yeah.
Breakout. I have Velarde. I think with Ehlers gone, they're going to need another guy to step up. And Velarde kind of has to be that because there's no one else really there to do it. And the breakout is more in terms of health. I think he needs to play a full season. And if he produces at the same rate over a full season, they're in a good spot. Bounce back, I have Gustav Nyquist. He was horrible last year. He had like 20 points in like 70 games. Like it was when your only asset is being a skilled forward and you put up 20 points in 70 games, it's a rough look. So Winnipeg doesn't really have many options after that first line, and they're going to need him to bounce back and be decent.
Yeah. X Factor, obviously, Hellebuck. My breakout, I want to say Perfetti, just because, I don't know, you're getting second line minutes. Ehlers is gone. I'm going to need to get something from somewhere. And then bounce back, Jonathan Taves. Let's see if that, what's it called? The mantra, whatever he did in India worked.
Evan, where do you have this team?
I have this team third in the division.
I have this team fourth.
I have this team also fourth and in the playoffs.
Damn. All right, let's go.
You have them fourth missing?
No, I had fifth making, so fourth
Okay.
making. All right, let's go through our Central Division picks. So we'll start with Evan. You say your eighth, I say my eighth. We'll go like that. Okay.
Chicago,
Chicago,
Nashville,
Utah,
Minnesota,
St. Louis,
Minnesota,
Winnipeg,
Utah,
Utah,
St. Louis,
Colorado,
Dallas,
Dallas.
Some variation there. That was nice.
Yeah.
That is it for the Central Division.
We want to thank everyone for listening to this episode. We understand these are long and maybe a little tedious, but hopefully you learned something. I know Omar did. So thank you for tuning into this episode, and we will see you next episode for our Metropolitan Division. I want to thank you for listening, and you can find us on the following platforms at...
Watch us on YouTube. Check us out on Amazon Prime, Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio,
Stitcher,
SiriusXM, and follow us on TikTok and on Twitter at The Unfortunate Diehards. And we'll see ya for the Metro.
Go Jets!